When we look out into the deep, freezing abyss of the outer solar system, we expect to find silence. We expect to find dead, cratered rocks and oceans of ice, frozen solid in the eternal night. Millions of miles away from the life-giving warmth of the sun, logic dictates that everything should be cold, still, and asleep. But physics can be cruel, and gravity can create monsters. Just 350,000 kilometers above the swirling, violent clouds of our solar system's largest planet, there is a world that breaks every rule. It does not freeze. It does not sleep. It burns. It melts itself from the inside out, spewing rivers of glowing rock and towering plumes of toxic gas into the pitch-black vacuum of space. It is a world without a single drop of water, drier than the scorched surface of Mercury. It is the most volcanically active object in the known universe. This is Io. And it is a living, breathing, bleeding hell. If you were to approach Io from a distance, your eyes would not understand what they were seeing. Against the dark backdrop of space, Io looks like a cosmic hallucination. It is not grey, it is a chaotic canvas of bright, unnatural yellows, deep, bloody reds, glowing whites, and toxic greens. But this is not art, this is chemistry at war. Io's entire surface is covered in the byproducts of constant, violent destruction. The bright yellow plains are vast fields of crystallized sulfur, while the white patches are frozen sulfur dioxide. Deep red scars at the poles mark fresh eruptions baked by intense radiation, and the exotic greens are unstable sulfur monoxide. Taking a single breath here would instantly burn your lungs with the suffocating stench of rotten eggs. But to understand why Io looks like a nightmare, you have to look beneath the surface. You have to understand the torture it endures every single day. Io is caught in a gravitational crossfire. It is tidally locked to Jupiter, meaning the same side of the moon always faces the giant planet, forced to stare unblinkingly at its master. But Jupiter is not the only monster in the dark. Just slightly further out lie two other massive moons, Europa and Ganymede. These three worlds are locked in a mathematical trap, an orbital resonance. For every single orbit Ganymede slowly makes around Jupiter, Europa makes two, and Io, trapped on the inside, is whipped around 4 times in just 42.5 hours. This is not a peaceful cosmic dance. It is a relentless ordeal. As Io races around Jupiter, the immense gravity of the gas giant pulls the moon inward. But the gravity of Europa and Ganymede pulls it backward. This relentless tug of war literally stretches the entire moon. On Earth, the gravity of our moon gently pulls our oceans, creating tides that rise and fall by a couple of meters. On Io, the gravity of Jupiter pulls solid rock. The surface of Io bulges outward by an unbelievable 100 meters. Imagine the ground beneath your feet, rising the height of a 30-story building, only to fall back down over and over again. This relentless stretching and squeezing creates unimaginable friction deep within Io's iron and silicate core. It is like taking a solid piece of metal and bending it back and forth until it glows white hot. This process, known as tidal heating, turns the interior of Io into a planetary furnace. The rock beneath the crust does not just melt, it boils. Because of this intense internal pressure, the surface of Io is dotted with over 400 active volcanoes. But do not picture the majestic cone-shaped mountains we have on Earth. Io does not have time to build mountains before it melts them. Instead of rising peaks, the surface is ripped open by jagged cracks and massive depressions called paterae. The most terrifying of these is Loki Patera. Imagine a lake of fire 200 kilometers across. It is a vast, churning basin of molten rock directly connected to an underground reservoir of liquid magma. Normally, a thin, dark crust of solidified rock floats on the surface of this lake, but inevitably the crust becomes too heavy. It breaks, and in a terrifying cascade, the entire surface of the lake sinks into the glowing magma below. When this happens, Loki alone produces 10 times more heat than normal, a blinding flash of infrared energy that can be seen from millions of miles away. When the pressure becomes too great, Io does not simply bleed lava. It explodes. Eruptions on this moon are so violent they defy comprehension. Massive plumes of sulfur and magnesium-rich magma shoot up to 300 kilometers into the freezing vacuum of space. The magma blasts outward at supersonic speeds, reaching high above the moon before cooling into a fine, toxic ash and raining back down to cover the landscape. This is why you will never find an impact crater on Io. Any asteroid that strikes this moon is instantly buried. Io is constantly repaving itself, melting its own skin and burying its own history under fresh layers of fire. Yet, amid the flat lava lakes and the sprawling sulfur plains, there are anomalies, jagged, terrifying structures that seem to defy the melting world around them. The most iconic of these is Steeple Mountain. Rising straight up like a dagger, piercing the black sky, it towers an astonishing 18 kilometers high, more than double the height of Mount Everest. But Steeple Mountain is not a volcano. It is a tectonic survivor. Because Io's surface is constantly collapsing into magma lakes, the intense downward pressure forces other blocks of solid rock to shoot violently upward. These are not mountains born of slow, patient geology. They are massive shards of a broken crust, bursting forth like glass, shattering under pressure. But the horrors of Io are not confined to the ground. The true danger of this world comes from above. Io orbits deep inside Jupiter's magnetic field, one of the most powerful and deadly forces in the solar system. This magnetic field traps radiation 10,000 times stronger than the maximum limits surrounding Earth. If you were to stand on the surface of Io, the radiation would dismantle your DNA long before the heat or the toxic air ever reached you. This magnetic monster does not just irradiate Io, it slowly devours it. As Io's volcanoes blast sulfur and oxygen into its thin, fragile atmosphere, Jupiter's rapidly spinning magnetic field acts like a cosmic buzzsaw. It strips particles away from Io at a terrifying rate of 1 ton of matter every single second. This stolen matter does not just float away. It becomes trapped, forming a massive, glowing donut of ionized radiation around Jupiter, known as the plasma torus. Io is forced to orbit directly through this highly energized cloud of its own making. As it plows through the plasma, it generates a massive electrical current, a multi-million ampere invisible wire called a flux tube that connects the burning moon directly to the poles of Jupiter. This violent electrical connection sparks colossal, ghostly auroras in the sky. If you looked up from the surface of Io, you would see the sky glowing with radioactive light. Green sodium, red oxygen, and blue sulfur dancing in the dark. Io is a world that should be dead, frozen in the cold abyss of the outer solar system. Instead, it is the most violently alive place we have ever seen. It is a world without rest, without peace, and without water. It is stretched by gravity, melted by friction, blasted by radiation, and slowly eaten alive by the giant planet it is forced to orbit. It reminds us that the universe is not a peaceful, quiet void. It is a theatre of extreme forces, a place where planets can be shredded, where atmospheres can be toxic, and where a tiny, insignificant moon can be transformed into a beautiful burning prison. Look at Io while you can. It is a masterpiece of destruction, burning brightly in the dark.